March 27th, 1961, 9 students from the historically black Tougaloo College walked into the all-white Jackson, Mississippi Public Library Jackson, Mississippi Public Library. Joseph Jackson Jr., their leader, approached the circulation desk with heart thumping. He stammered a message he had memorized. "Ma'am, I want to know if you have this philosophy book. I need it for a research project." "You know, you don't belong here," the librarian assistant yelled, proceeding to call the librarian director. "May I help you?" the latter asked, coming out of her office. He replied, "We're doing research." "Well, there's a colored library on Mill Street," she said. "You are welcome there." Almost immediately, Jackson later reported police entered the building and told the scholar to go out of the library. No one moved. The chief of police then told them that they were under arrest. The group later became known as the Tougaloo Nine.
On March 7, 1964, 4 black teenagers, including Alton Cryer, Sterling Hall, and David Howard, the fourth's name was never entered into the record, approached the St. Helena branch of the Audubon Regional Library in Greensburg, Louisiana. The librarian saw them coming, recognized what was happening, immediately locked the door, and posted closed signs in the window. The 4 left. 4 days later, the youths returned and met the same response. Through the window, they saw the librarian make a phone call as they approached. Moments later, she unlocked the door, came out, relocked it, and left. This group was referenced as the St. Helena's Four. These are but 2 of the many ultimately successful protests that resulted in the integration of public libraries. Today, we recognize those battles that many have fought to ensure that intellectual freedom, service, and knowledge should be available to all. My name is William Bryant, and I'm one of the Lincoln Public Schools student advocates for the African American community, and I'm joined by Pete Ferguson, who is the Youth Development Team Coordinator for Lincoln Public Schools. Today, we will serve as your masters of ceremony. Today's read-in represents an ongoing collaboration between Lincoln Public Schools and the Lincoln City Libraries, which is in conjunction with the National Council for the Teachers of English, who host the National African American Read-In. This national literacy initiative kicks off every year during Black History Month. The purpose of the read-in is to share with students from preschool to adult the unique experiences found in the African American literature. Today, you will have the privilege to hear readings and view performances by community stakeholders, which will explore the rich African American history, as well as the role played by and the contributions made by African Americans in the world of literature and the arts.
And again, we want to thank you today for your attendance, and we look forward to you enjoying today's program. And we hope that you will grab something that will continue your steps to help us walk together in order to walk together towards civility, justice, kindness, and equity. Readers, except for our first ones, will be introduced. We'll operate kind of baseball style. We'll just say Negro League style today, okay, in honor. With that next presenter being on deck. They will self-introduce and share why they chose the piece and the impact that it's had on them and how they hope that it will impact you today. So again, thank you for joining us here today, and I'd like to introduce Ms. Shanna Letcher.
Good afternoon. My name is Shanna Letcher. I am one of the advocates for the African American community. Lift Every Voice and Sing was written at a pivotal time when Jim Crow was replacing slavery and African Americans were searching for an identity. 2 key events led to its being named the Negro National Anthem. In 1905, Booker T. Washington endorsed it. And in 1919, it became the official song of the NAACP, August 16th, 2015, written by 2018, Yeah, written by James Weldon Johnson. And it's my pleasure to introduce one of our rising stars within the community. She's a junior at North Star High School. She sings like a bird, and she will now, if you all rise for the singing of the Negro National Anthem.
Lift every voice and sing till earth and heaven ring. Ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise high as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling seas. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. Facing the rising sun of our new day begun, let us march on till victory has won. Thank you.
Good afternoon and welcome to the 2020 African American Read-In. I'm Chris Hefner, Director of Libraries here in Lincoln Public Schools, and I am thrilled and honored to be a part of this day that is dedicated to two of my very most favorite things, the joy of reading and the celebration of our rich cultural history through the power of stories. We celebrate this day based on the simple idea that books and stories connect us. They connect us to history and to our multifaceted present. They connect us to the web of ideas and inspirations that speak to us from their pages. They offer a new lens of perspective that allows us a sharper vantage point from which to interpret the events from the past and the impact of history on who we are today. There are millions of stories, and each book we read and each story we digest changes us just a little bit. They teach and remind, stretch our imaginations, and expand our worlds. Reading does that for us. Today I'm reading a selection from our Mosaic collection, One Last Word by Nikki Grimes. Miss Grimes is an author who has dramatically moved the needle in the world of diverse storytelling and children's publishing. Born in Harlem in 1950, she's delivered over 17 volumes of stories and poetry reflective of her life and the lives of the countless children who find themselves reflected in her pages. The poem I'm reading today is called Tanya. Your life story is a tale worth telling. Oh, others try to squeeze it down into the little crevices of history where they imagine all brown stories belong. But pay them no mind, girl. I will ink the extraordinary story only you were born with. Trading tales is what we're meant for. Whether marking our joys or our sorrows' sameness, brown or not, every story has its mate. All right, my pen is at the ready. I'll keep it moving to the meter of your words till all the metaphors necessary to describe you, from timidities to talents, have found their way into whatever pocket of verse seems most suited. Queenliness seems a fitting beginning. No, I'm not forgetting the tenement you live in. But that, my friend, is where you reside, not what you are made of. I was told once that true nobility is the crown of character. You were royal from the first kind word. Never were you a slave to meanness. Stubborn, yes, and always sarcastic. That is, until you let your guard down. Then your heart hums sweetly as a music box full of soothing melody, and your lips offer a world of welcome and a smile, a laugh, no matter how difficult your day. Is that not worth noting? At the end of your story, you're strong enough to write your own fate. I hope today, as we celebrate our stories, that we consciously look for examples of nobility and kindness and character. And as we trade our tales, we freshly discover the extraordinary story each of us was born to write. Your story is worth telling. Once again, welcome to the 2020 African American Read-In. Please browse and enjoy the other Mosaic books and stories that we have made available to you. And most of all, happy reading. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeremy Williams, and I teach 4th grade at Zeman Elementary School here in Lincoln Public Schools. Zeman is located in the southeast side of town, off of 56 and Pioneer Street. A little bit about me: I was born in Chicago, but I grew up here in Nebraska in Papillion, where I attended Papillion La Vista High School. Go Monarchs. After graduation, I went on to Creighton University to earn my degree in elementary education. Go Jays. I was thrilled to accept my teaching offer from LPS in March of 2017 while I was student teaching and right before graduation. I've called Lincoln home for the last 3 years, and I'm looking forward to more years of learning, growing, and working hard in this amazing city. I'm going to be reading a book called Lillian's Right to Vote by Jonah Winter and Shane W. Evans. This is a story about a 100-year-old woman who has just voted for the first time, and we are going to be taking a trip with her up the hill as she casts her first vote. Not nervous at all. A very old woman stands at the bottom of a very steep hill. It's voting day, but she's an American, and by God, she's going to vote. Lillian is her name. It's a long haul up that steep hill. It's a long haul when you've been alive for 100 years. It's a long haul when you've lived the life that Lillian has and walked so far in her shoes. When Lillian looks up, it's more than the blue sky she sees. She sees history. Lillian sees her great-great-grandparents Elijah and Sarah. They are standing side by side on an auction block. Sarah is holding their baby Edmund. They are being sold as slaves in front of the very same Alabama courthouse where rich white men and no one else are allowed to vote. Lillian starts her slow climb. Though the sun shines brightly, Lillian sees a dark time from years long past. She sees her great-grandpa Edmund, now grown. He is owned by another man, forced to pick cotton from daybreak to nightfall, right here in this country where it is written that all men are created equal. He sure doesn't have the right to vote. In fact, he doesn't have the right to do much at all until after the Civil War, which finally ends slavery. Lillian stops in her tracks, unable to keep going. As she stands there, she sees herself trying to register to vote for the very first time. She sees the blank piece of paper on which she must write down a section of the U.S. Constitution, word for word, as it is being mumbled by the registrar. A test she could not pass. No one could. Looking up at the top of the hill, Lillian wonders how she'll ever make it. It looks so far, and she's so tired. She enters the building, and as Lillian steps into the voting booth, once again, she sees herself stepping into the voting booth in 1965 for the very first time. And she knows full well she would not be standing here today were it not for the people who marched and the people who died and the people who fought for her right to vote. Lillian touches her finger to the lever, and because she is a citizen of the United States of America, protected by the voting rights of 1965, Lillian pushes that lever. Lillian votes. I chose this story because I was really inspired by Lillian. She was born in 1908, and she was the daughter of a slave owner. In 2008, not only did she cast her first right to vote, but she also voted for our first black African-American president, Barack Obama. What else that was really inspiring about her is she campaigned in her Healy neighborhood and persuaded people that were much younger than her to get out and vote and make a difference as well. This story inspires me and makes me think about my own family as well and just how far we've come in over 100 short years. My grandparents grew up in Greenwood, Mississippi, where they were forced to drop out of school, and they worked as sharecroppers to help support their families. Later, my mom dropped out of high school before later returning to earn her GED and eventually her associate's degree in nursing. I became the third person in my family to earn my bachelor's degree, and then my family and I have big hopes for my nephew, PJ, who we love a lot, but he's very spoiled, and he's in second grade right now. This story also inspires me as an educator. Here in Lincoln, it doesn't matter if you live in South Lincoln, West Lincoln, or North Lincoln. All students in our city are given a quality and equitable education. Here in LPS, we don't just say all means all, we live it and we teach it every day. Living my day-to-day life, it's so easy to forget just how big of an honor it is for me to work as an educator. 100 years ago, most students were educated in different schools. I am so thankful this month and every month for the people who have marched, died, and fought for my rights. Today, because of them, I wake up every morning with the privilege of being able to laugh, make mistakes, and work hard each and every day with my 23 diverse students. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I am truly standing on my ancestors' shoulders today, so thank you all for being here and for allowing me to be here with you. My name is Dr. Alethea Stovall, and I am the Dean of Students at Bryan College Health and Sciences. It is wonderful to be here today in a community that gave so much to me. I've had many travel adventures since I've graduated from Lincoln High, and being back in Lincoln is a hallmark movie of my own making. The book I am sharing with you today is called Walk Home Tired, Billy Jenkins, by Anthem Thomas. I grew up with this book because of the pictures and adventures the big sister shares with her little brother. This book reminds me of myself and caring for my younger siblings and all the shenanigans I would entice them with so that they would complete a task. And some of those tasks would be walking home. So welcome to my story of youth and wonder. As you can tell, this book has been with me. It's very old and some water stains on it. It's been passed from me to my siblings. Come on, Billy Jenkins. We've got a long way to walk to get home. I'm tired, Nina. I'm too tired to walk. Well, do you want to ride in my silver sailboat, Billy Jenkins? I tamed the river for once and all times, so come on and sail with me. My sailboat's a silver big one. It'll sail us to Connecticut and back. You coming with me? Huh, Billy Jenkins? You want to ride? Yes, I can handle her gentle too. Won't get sick on this ride. I'll take you so low, we'll touch fence ivy, and then back up again. Straight up, but not too fast. You won't get sick on this ride. So, you coming with me, Billy Jenkins? You coming? Or do you want a country ride? I'll take you far out with me. Far out with the birds stick to the trees, and then we fly away together. Don't worry, we won't frighten the birds. When we go by, we'll glide, Billy Jenkins. We'll simply glide. Maybe you don't like a riding plane. Maybe it's too tall and high. But I'd handle her quiet and gentle. We don't have to take a plane, you know, Billy Jenkins. I got me a train as black as midnight coal. We'll shine her up proud, and she'll take us fast and far. Not too fast, just slow enough for you to see where the chipmunks hide. And when we come to get where the tracks make a point, we'll get off, Billy Jenkins, And you can wear the train man's hat, where I'll teach you my freedom dance. It's a twirling dance, but I'll hold you when we get dizzy. So come on, Billy Jenkins, come on. And you're just pretending, Nina, just making believe. Well then, walk home tired, Billy Jenkins. You walk home tired if you won't ride with me. Oh my gosh, all the shenanigans to my siblings. Just come on, you all, come on. We're really going far out, Nina. We're really going to travel the world, to the far and wide. Yep, Billy Jenkins, to the far and wide. And when we're both tired, we'll simply glide. Here I come, Nina. Nina, wait for me. So this book reminds me, as I mentioned, of my the things that I would do with my siblings just to get them to do a task. But it also gave me the courage to travel, the courage to think about traveling, that somebody like me could travel. So I've been very blessed and fortunate to be able to have traveled the world. And if it wasn't for my LPS teachers, if it wasn't for the community of Lincoln that I grew up in, I don't know if I would be here. So thank you, everyone, for allowing me to share a piece of me.
Hello there, I'm Van Price, and I work right here in this building, Lincoln Public Schools Human Resources. Been here a couple years, but my heart is in schools because schools changed my life. I am a product of Omaha Public Schools. Attended, well, I never went to kindergarten, but that's a story within itself. But I attended 1st through 12th grade, and I am a very proud graduate of Omaha Central. Go Eagles. I came to Lincoln to go to the university, and I fell in love with Lincoln, and I've been here ever since. I was a 4th grade teacher in Lincoln. I was a 5th grade teacher in Lincoln. I was a 5th grade teacher in Lincoln. I was a 6th grade teacher in Lincoln, and was blessed with the opportunity to open 3 new schools in Lincoln, and I doubt if anyone else in this room can say that. It was a blessing of my life, and I'm very proud to say that I ended my school career at North Star High School as the principal of North Star for 6 years. I have 3 siblings 3 brothers, not just siblings. You need to know they were boys. And so life with boys is very interesting. I had a conversation with them not long ago, and they each talk about how I taught them to read, because I was hooked on reading from very, very young. My youngest brother told me that I taught him that I read the Boxcar Children to him, the entire series over and over again, and those truly were my favorite books. A year ago, I was blessed to just fall in love with the book Becoming, and I have a lot in common, believe it or not, with Michelle Obama, from the standpoint that we are the same age. Her experiences, as she tells them, reminds me of me growing up. And so I admire this lady tremendously. This is a book that took me forever to finish intentionally because I didn't want it to end. So what I'm going to share with you is just the last part. It's the epilogue, just a little bit section that really just touched me. Barack and I walked out of the White House for the last time on January 20th, 2017, accompanying Donald and Melania Trump to the inauguration ceremony. That day I was feeling everything all at once: tired, proud, distraught, eager. Mostly, though, I was trying just to hold myself together, knowing we had television cameras following our every move. Barack and I were determined to make the transition with grace and dignity, to finish our 8 years with both our ideals and our composure intact. We were down now to the final hour. That morning, Barack had made a last visit to the Oval Office, leaving a handwritten note for his successor. We'd also gathered on the state floor to say goodbye to the White House's permanent staff, the butlers, ushers, chefs, housekeepers, florists, and others who'd looked after us with friendship and professionalism, and would now extend those same courtesies to the family due to move in later that day. These farewells were particularly rough for Sasha and Malia, since many of these were people they'd seen nearly every day for half their lives. I'd hugged everyone and tried not to cry when they presented us with a parting gift of 2 United States flags. The one had flown on the first day of Barack's presidency, and the one that had flown on his last day in office. Symbolic bookends to our family's experience. Sitting on the inaugural stage in front of the U.S. Capitol for the 3rd time, I worked to contain my emotions. The vibrant diversity of the 2 previous inaugurations were gone, replaced by what felt like a dispiriting uniformity, the kind of overwhelming white and male tableau I'd entered so many times in my life, especially in the more privileged spaces, the various corridors of power I'd somehow found my way into since leaving my childhood home. What I knew from working in professional environments, from recruiting new lawyers for Sidley and Austin to hiring staff at the White House, is that sameness breeds more sameness until you make a thoughtful effort to counteract it. Looking around at 300 or so people sitting on the stage that morning, the esteemed guests of the incoming president, it felt apparent to me that in the new White House, this effort wasn't likely to be made. Someone from Barack's administration might have said that the optics there were bad, that what the public saw didn't reflect the president's reality or ideals. But in this case, maybe it did. Realizing it, I made my own optic adjustment. I stopped even trying to smile. A transition is exactly that, a passage to something new. A hand goes on a Bible, an oath gets repeated, one president's furniture gets carried out while another comes in. Closets are emptied and refilled. Just like that, there are new heads on new pillows, new temperaments, new dreams. And when your term is up, when you leave the White House on that very last day, you've left in many ways to find yourself all over again. I am now at a new beginning in a new phase of life. For the first time in many years, I'm unhooked from any obligation as a political spouse, unencumbered by other people's expectations. I have 2 nearly grown daughters who need me less than they once did. I have a husband who no longer carries the weight of the nation on his shoulders. The responsibilities I felt to Sasha and Malia, to Barack, to my career, my country, have shifted in ways that allow me to think differently about what comes next. I've had more time to reflect, to simply be myself. At 54, I am still in progress, and I hope that I always will be. For me, becoming isn't about arriving somewhere or achieving a certain aim. I see it instead as a forward motion, a means of evolving, a way to reach continuously toward a better self. The journey doesn't end. I became a mother, but I still have a lot to learn from and give to my children. I became a wife, but I continue to adapt and to be humbled by what it means to truly love and make a life with another person. I have become, by certain measures, a person of power, and yet there are moments still when I feel insecure or unheard. It's all a process, steps along a path. Becoming requires equal parts patience and rigor. Becoming is never giving up on the idea that there's more growing to be done. Thank you.
Crazy. I'm just like over there sitting in my seat, and I'm just like, I just gotta get up. Like I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like just so inspired and motivated by the speakers that we had thus far. It's crazy. I probably should introduce myself, right? My name is Merrill Lamar. So I am a senior at the University of Nebraska. I'm also a recording artist. I'm fortunate enough to have one of my songs on the radio right now. I'm also a male cheerleader and a Marine. So wear a couple of different hats. So I'll be playing a song for you all this afternoon. It's called A Change Is Gonna Come by Sam Cooke. But really quick before I play the song, I just want to talk about just what it means to me a little bit. So what I like to do every once in a while, pretty much once a week, I'll call my grandma and I'll just like see like how she's been. We talk about literally anything. But what's most fascinating is I like to talk about and ask her questions about what her life was like growing up. So she grew up in Mississippi years and years and years ago, and she actually, last time I spoke with her, she recounted a story of how she would spend an entire day picking cotton in the field and to only have the mean wages of $2 for the entire day. I'm just thinking to myself, I can't even comprehend, one, how tired she got to be in that Mississippi sun, and two, the amount of mental fortitude that she had to endure that type of environment, that type of climate, politically and socially, is just beyond me. So when I think of this song, A Change Is Gonna Come, I think about my grandmother who grew up in an environment that was like that, and now she has grandchildren that are in college opportunity that she never had the chance to pursue when she was growing up, and daughters and sons that are pursuing their dreams. They're actively going after their dreams after she moved to Chicago. So I think a change is going to come. I think of that light that's at the end of the tunnel. It's not a change might come or a change could come. A change is going to come. So it's a very hopeful note that I think about constantly. And just another anecdote, I actually had the honor and privilege to perform for Ruby Bridges a couple of weeks ago. If you guys don't know who Ruby Bridges is, she's a civil rights icon. She's actually one of the first African Americans to be incorporated into an all-white school. So she signed my guitar for me, so I feel like she's here with me right now. But I probably stop talking now and start playing, right?
I was born by the river in a little tent. Oh, just like the river, I've been running ever since. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Yes, it will. It's been too hard living, but I'm afraid to die. 'Cause I don't know what's out there beyond the sky. It's been a long time coming, but I know change gonna come. Yes, it will. And I can go to the movies, and I go downtown. Somebody's done asking me, don't hang around. It's been a long time coming, but I know a change is gonna come. Yes, it will. And I go to my brother and ask, brother, help me please. But he winds up knocking me down. Change is gonna come.
Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening. My name's Omar, and I'm a 5th grade Belmont track scholar. Introduce to you the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Please give a round of applause. Well, I don't know what will happen now. We got some difficult days ahead, but it doesn't matter with me now. Because I've been to the mountaintop, and I've looked over, and I've seen the promised land. I may not get there with you, but I want you to know tonight that we, as a people, will get to the promised land.
This is for the unforgettable, like the words spoken by late Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in support of the striking sanitation workers in Memphis, Tennessee, on April 3rd, 1968, the day before he was assassinated.
This is for the unafraid, like the Moses of her people, Harriet Tubman, whose walk kept going and freed 300, yes, 300 slaves along the Underground Railroad.
If you hear the dogs, keep going. If you see the torches in the woods, keep going. If you hear shouting after you, keep going. Don't ever stop. Keep going. If you want a taste of freedom, keep going.
This is for the undefeated, like Muhammad Ali, a world heavyweight boxing champion, social activist, gold medalist, and one of the greatest athletes of the 20th century.
I'm the greatest. I said that before I knew I was.
Roll like a butterfly, sing like a bee. His hands can't hit what his eyes can't see.
I'm young, I'm handsome, I'm fast. I can't possibly be beat.
We, the 5th grade Belmont track scholars, stand before you, undefeated, and share this letter to end for black, brown, white, and all of America. Our walk speaks to the grit, passion, and perseverance of our greatest artists, athletes, activists, and scholars. To the dreamers like all Belmont track scholars. To the strength and bravery of everyday people caught in the web of history. It is the words and walks of our most celebrated and hidden figures of the not-so-distant past that underlines the endurance and spirit of those surviving, and thriving in the present. Based on a poem by Kwame Alexander and picture book illustrated by Kadar Nelson, the 5th grade Belmont track scholars share a story of effort, kindness, and love.
This is for the unforgettable,
the swift and sweet ones. Like 1968, Mexico City, Summer Olympians, John Carlos and Tommy Smith, who hold history and open a world of possibilities.
We walked to the Olympic podium, shoeless, carrying our sneakers, wearing black socks and one black leather glove each. As the national anthem began to play and the flags rose, we bowed our heads and raised our black gloved fist into the air in a symbol of unity. The ones who survived America by any means necessary.
Like Henry Box Brown, who after his wife and children were sold and shipped away to another state, resolved to escape slavery by any means necessary. His desperate plan in 1849 was to ship himself from Richmond to Philadelphia in a wooden crate.
This is for the undeniable, the ones who scored with chains in one hand and faith in the other, but still sang when times got tough for justice and freedom.
the sophisticated ones who box adversity and tackle vision, like the Galveston Giant, Jack Johnson, the first African-American world heavyweight boxing champion, who despite facing racist press during the Jim Crow era, he successfully defended the title 17 times.
This is for the ones who shined their light for the world to see and didn't stop till the break of dawn.
Like the more than 1,000 scholars who on May 2nd, 1963, who ditched classes to march for justice.
Saved arrests, firehouses, and police dogs, and brought segregation to its knees.
In groups of 50, children singing freedom songs marched out of 16th Street Baptist Church, 2 by 2, when each group is arrested, another takes its place.
Local police and fire departments blasted us with high pressure fire hoses, beat us with billy clubs, and unleashed police dogs. Despite the violence, we, the children, walked together.
This is for the unafraid, the audacious ones who carried the red, white, and wary blues on the battlefield to save an imperfect union, like John Brown Jr., a Navajo code talker, who with fellow Native Americans proved to be unbreakable.
Yes, we need to walk together. Why? Because like King said, there is no noise as powerful as the marching feet of a determined people. Tell him, Dr. King.
Today, I want to tell the city of Lincoln.
Tell them, Doctor.
Today, I want to say to the state of Nebraska. Today, I want to say to the people of America and nations of the world that we are not about to turn around. We are on the move now. Yes, we are on the move. And no wave of racism can stop us. We are on the move now. We are on the move now. We are moving to the land of freedom.
Yes, sir. Like the righteous marching ones who say, we shall not be moved.
We shall not be moved. We shall not be moved, just like a tree that's planted by the water. We shall not be moved.
Yeah, we won't be moved. Like John Lewis, president of SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, who on Sunday, March 7th, got in good trouble, marching from Selma to Montgomery, Alabama, crossing the Edmund Pettus Bridge, to dramatize to the nation and to the world that black people wanted to register to vote to participate in the democratic process.
Some may say we're up to no good, but I would say this was necessary trouble. And every so often, when you see something that is not right, not fair, not just, you have to say no, no.
This is for the unspeakable.
Like those who came aboard on a 1619 ship that appeared on the Horizon near Point, Comfort, Virginia. It carried more than 20 enslaved Africans who were sold as slaves. 400-some years later, on the anniversary of this fateful moment, it is finally time to be the voice for those who can no longer speak.
This is for the unspeakable.
Like 14-year-old Addie Mae Collins, 11-year-old Denise McNair,
14-year-old Carol Robertson,
and 14-year-old Cynthia Wesley,
who like us had hopes and dreams, but lost our voices September 15th, 1963, by a bomb blast during our church service, 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama.
This is for the unspeakable.
Like 14-year-old Emmett Till, August 28, 1955. Trayvon Benjamin Martin, February 26, 2012. And 22-year-old Stephen Clark, March 18, 2019. If these cruel and tragic events can only awaken that city and state, if they can only awaken this entire nation to a realization of the fully racial injustice, hatred, and violence, then it is not too late for all concerned to unite in steps toward peaceful progress before more lives are lost.
This is for the unbelievable, the real cool ones.
This is for the underdogs and the uncertain. Tell them, Marcus Garvey.
If you have no confidence in self, then you are twice defeated in the race of life. Let me repeat myself. If you have no confidence in self, then you are twice defeated in the race of life.
This is for the unspoken, but no longer hidden or untitled.
The Katherine Johnsons, the Dorothy Vaughns, and the Mary Jacksons, 3 African American women who are no longer hidden figures.
This is for the undefeated.
This is for those who will walk together with us.
When I say walk, you say together.
Walk together. Walk together.
When I say walk, you say together. Walk together.
Walk together.
When I say walk, you say together.
Walk together. Walk together.
Before I even introduce myself, can we give it up one more time for those kids? They were great. Let me get off of. My name is Camry Silv, and I am the morning reporter over at 1011. I am originally from New Orleans, Louisiana. I was born there, raised. Go Saints, who dat? But I came to Lincoln in August, so I have not been here that long. First of all, I want to welcome or say thank you to all of you who turn on your TVs at 5 a.m. and 6 a.m. in the morning and watch my face and hear my laugh. I appreciate that. A little bit about me. So I grew up, like I said, in New Orleans to both my mom and my dad, and I have an older sister. Growing up, one of the most important things that my parents instilled in me was to make sure that I knew that I was important, no matter what somebody else said, and that I was special, that I had something in me that was special. So this poem I'm about to read is basically about that, about a black girl or African American girl who realizes that she's not what society thinks of her. She is way more than that. And it was written by April Chukwueke, and she was 15 years old. I am a black girl. Yes, it's true. Don't let the looks fool you. I am a black girl who is articulate. I use words like perfunctory because I can handle it. I am a black girl who is a geek and also rather meek. I'm terrible at saying no, and I say for, not faux. I am a black girl, but society tells me I am not. With great absurdity, the American mentality enforces the reality of acting white equating to acting right. But I am a black girl because I've survived those nights. Yeah, those sleepless nights and the internal fights scrutinizing my nappy fro and my African nose. I am a black girl because I've survived those times when the hateful words came from black brothers of mine who were born from the womb of a black woman, who were torn apart by social injustice. But a black woman's love is sweet, so sacred, yet they have the audacity to profess their hatred. I am a black girl because I've been told I'm too tough, too rough, too dark to ever be enough. I am a black girl because I've been blessed with a curse to be a color acknowledged at its worst. I am white when I am celebrated, and black when I am infuriated. I have every right to be infuriated because of the lack of integration and the education of the nation is not improving the situation. Our only salvation is communication, but you must pay attention. I don't date black girls. Black girls are only good for the bedroom, not the take home to mama type. You cute for a black girl. Black girls are better mixed. My parents would kill me if I brought home a black girl. I am a black girl because I was raised in a society that hates me. They hate my color and my confidence, but preach diversity. I am a black girl because I was taught to hate myself, because the boys didn't date black girls, so they chose everybody else. I am a black girl because I am courageous, and the colored women before me changed nations. I am a masterpiece of creation, the quintessence of liberation, and the beautiful reality of my ancestors' imagination. Harriet, Ruby, Coretta, Rosa, Oprah, Michelle. Say their names. These women changed the game and fought for freedom and not the fame. So a little bit of why I chose this poem. Growing up, I went to private schools. That's because the education system in New Orleans is absolutely just terrible. It is. So if you don't go to a private or a Catholic or Lusher type school, you're not getting a quality education. And my parents vowed to me and made sacrifices my entire life to make sure from pre-K up until high school and then even into college. I have a special connection when it comes to education. My grandmother was a special education teacher in New Orleans for a while, and then my mother worked in higher education at a local community college. So this poem kind of speaks to me because I remember growing up, people used to tease me, you don't talk like a black girl. You don't have a shape like a black girl. I'm a black girl. So those kinds of things didn't affect me in the way that maybe the people saying them thought they would. And this poem basically just explains how you are so much more than what people think or people see. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I'm Sandra Washington. I'm a councilwoman here in Lincoln, Nebraska, and I couldn't have been more thrilled to receive the invitation to be a part of the read-in today. And there have been wonderful stories and performances, and I feel really blessed that people have given parts of themselves and their heart today. I'm going to read from Random Kindness and Senseless Acts of Beauty. I did read the email from Mr. Ferguson that said this was the African American read-in, and this book is not written by an African American, but I am an African American, so I am choosing to read this because of late I have been paying a lot of attention to what people say and how we say it, and I have a passion for building communication networks and from those networks to build community. And the words of Rumi, a Sufi philosopher and poet, have been in my head for a number of weeks now. And it's also part of the prayer in that moment of silence before City Council that I say to myself. Before you speak, let your words pass through 3 gates. At the first gate, ask yourself, is it true? At the second, ask if it's necessary. And at the third gate, ask if it's kind. Our leaders got confused, so we're all leaders now. They told us there was nothing we could do. They were wrong. When we tell ourselves there's nothing we can do, we never know how much, and we never know how far it goes, but always we have power. What we do can't go away. We are all in this together. Anything we do randomly and frequently starts to make its own sense and changes the world into itself. Senseless violence makes more and more sense when vengeance and fear take us closer and closer to a world where everyone is dead for no reason. But violence isn't the only thing that is senseless until it makes its own sense. Anything you want there to be more of, do it randomly. Don't wait for reasons. It will make itself more senselessly. Scrawl it on the wall. Random kindness and senseless acts of beauty. We're right on the edge of discovering millions of new ways of being together. Millions of new dances we can do together minute by minute. And we're right on the edge of destroying ourselves out of life because we're too scared to have that much delight. We're right on the edge. The steps we take now make new growth beneath our feet. The steps we take now decide what kind of earth there will be. And every moment we live, we have the choice to find the fight or make delight. We have power. It's a circle. Start the dance.
And I am Pat Leach, the Director of Lincoln City Libraries, and on behalf of the libraries, I thank each of you for attending this African American Reading event. What a wonderful tribute to our country's African American cultural and literary heritage. Thank you, 50, 100, 1,000 times, Belmont Scholars, for what you gave all of us today. We are so grateful to you. The libraries are delighted to partner with Lincoln Public Schools in presenting these events, and we thank Lincoln Public Schools for your hospitality today. I would like to give a special shout out to Pete Ferguson from Lincoln Public Schools and Brenda Ely from Lincoln City Libraries. It's really all about stories, sharing stories, remembering stories, honoring stories, together doing all of those things. And so I want to say thank you for all of you who presented today and brought your stories forward. I often think of reading as sometimes what I call an immersion in empathy. So getting feeling for another place, another time, another life story. And when you finish that book, you have the sense that you have spent some time looking at the world through someone else's eyes. And today I'd like to honor the name of Ernest Gaines, whose book, A Lesson Before Dying, gave me one of my very first empathetic immersions through his wonderful book called A Lesson Before Dying. I am grateful. So as we finish up today's event, I invite you to keep the feeling with you. If you'd like to have more of this kind of experience, you are in luck, because in 2 weeks, on February 20th at Isley Branch Library at noon, we'll be holding an African American reading event there. And I invite you to ask your friends and family to join you there. So again, as we leave, carry what you got here. Share your story. Share other people's stories. Celebrate the writers, the readers, the tellers, the singers, the musicians, the scholars. As Chris said at the start, happy reading. Thank you so much. And before I go, I want to remind everyone who read or performed, stay around for a picture. And I believe Bill Bryant has a few more things to say. Thank you all.
I want to say thanks again for attending today's read-in. Let's give another round of applause for all our readers and performers. We would like for you to now look under your chair, and if you have a tag or a piece of paper, please come forward at the conclusion of the program, and you will receive a signed copy of The Undefeated from the Belmont Scholars. Would all readers and performers come forward so we can get a group picture prior to leaving? Again, thank you for attending, and we look forward to seeing you on the 20th of February at the Lauren Isley Branch Library.